So I just recently had to take the climb out of Elo Hell to make sure you get back into the division that you want to be in. And I've learned a couple of things to reinvigorate my thoughts on getting out of Elo Hell. The first one is, sadly, I think one of the most important ones, which is make sure that you ignore both enemies and allies. Now, a lot of times I might just mean / ignore all, but a lot of times the things that your teammates say may prompt you to try a little less in the game, or get distracted or carried away, or even argue with them, and that's not helpful. That's not going to allow you to flourish in that game and make sure that you can carry. So you need to make sure that you don't let your teammates or your enemies affect you in what they're saying. You focus to what you know will win the game. Whether that's ignoring them or just not paying attention to it, you choose. The other thing that I found was very useful was making sure that whatever champion you're playing has a lot of playmaking potential. That doesn't mean that you can't go into the enemy jungle and kill them, or that you can't team fight, or all sorts of things. It just means that whatever that champion is doing, you need to make sure that you're doing it all the time. So if you're playing a jungler that is a heavy ganker, you gank as much as possible until the enemy decides that they don't want to play anymore. If you're a support that can make plays on the map, such as a Blitzcrank, a Thresh, an Alistar, you make sure that you do that all the time. You go roam and you are relentless. That is the most important thing in that elo, making sure that you're relentless with whatever place that you're playing. You're a split pusher, you are always split pushing. You're an assassin, you're always looking for the 1v1. All sorts of things like that. Just making sure that you stick to the strength of the champion that you're playing is how you're gonna win. Even a champion like Soraka, while you could say that, oh, that's not a playmaking champion, well, she can be if you use her for her strength all the time. For example, all your lanes are losing, here comes the ambulance healing everybody one by one, and just all your lanes are magically winning because you roamed and just healed everyone. And just sticking to the strength of the champion will ensure that you win the game. For example, you're somebody that can't deal with a split pusher, but you want to try to do that because nobody on your team can. That's not going to do a whole lot because you're not playing to the strength of your own champion. And that's a really powerful thing to do, making sure that you understand the goals that you set yourself by picking your certain pick. Another thing for getting out of lower elo, I find, is almost always building damage. In almost everything that I play, just build a lot of damage. And if you're somebody that just can't build damage, buy a lot of cooldown reduction so that you can always be fighting. For example, you're playing someone like a Blitzcrank. You don't want to go AP Blitzcrank, you go 45% cooldown reduction Blitz. So you have every hookup as often as possible and you can start making plays all over the map. That's a very good way of playing, just because it makes you better in terms of your skill shots and understanding your abilities because of how quickly you can spam them, not only improving you as a player, but improving your abilities to win the game. Another aspect that I find is making sure that you don't get upset at the games, because a lot of times you will lose games because of other people. And you might be thinking to yourself, no, it was my fault, I could have carried harder, I could have done that. And maybe you could have, but you shouldn't let that fact that the game was lost from outside factors affect your play. And when it does, that's when you need to take a break and understand that you're no longer being productive in terms of improving or climbing the ladder. And you take a break, take a shower, eat some food, watch some YouTube videos, and then you come back to the game feeling refreshed and reinvigorated, and most importantly, re-inspired to climb once again. You watch a motivational video about something and then you're right back into it and you're just as good as new, and that's the way of winning it.